I've been learning a lot lately about growing up, what it takes to be a man or a woman. Um, those are the options I've been exploring. Nothing else in between. Sorry, guys. And uh, it's interesting. There's an idea that I think holds true that you need to have challenges and overcome them after having a period of kind of being babied, and then you venture out into the world. And unfortunately, for some critics of this concept, it kind of all echoes back to the hero's journey. And um, I had thought that was something that wasn't so important anymore to consider. But I think I was wrong, and I think um, the growth, I think witnessing people's growth has kind of reminded me that there is a lot of validity to that cyclical journey of starting out in a place of humility and then meeting challenges, facing new things, facing yourself, rising above great external challenges, and then arriving at a place where you can kind of return to home, the same but different. And that's really interesting to me. Anyway, this is MJ. I love Tokusatsu, and right now I want to talk about Kamen Rider Zero-One Episode 12. We see a lot of growth in Dodo, in Assassin Chan, in Little Assassin, whatever you want to call him. And the interesting thing, excuse me, about his growth is that he has been remarking on it. The show's been remarking on it. And this episode, while it's about setting up a great upgrade for Zero-One, for Aruto, it's also kind of about setting up the challenge that is Dodo. He has gone rogue. He dismisses Hirobi and Jin. He tells them, actually, Andy Samu as well, who he fought before, and he says, I no longer need anything from you. I'm completely grown, and I'm beyond any of my betters or elders or whatever, because I have reached this pinnacle of strength, and I'm an independent operator now. And I found that very interesting, especially because I've been getting this sense as he's becoming kind of more of a fan favorite character that he might have to disappear from the show. And it definitely seems like he's being set up as an obstacle, as a roadblock for Aruto to overcome. With Shining Hopper, but also, he is set up hidden intelligence to fall by being the one who pulled the trigger on the actor and killed him. And there's this really interesting image at the end of the episode, which reminds me of X-Aids OP, where it shows the 5 riders. And I talked about this last time. And Dodo's not in there. Assassin is not in there. And maybe he'll become a legitimate villain part, and Hirobi and Jin will become heroes. I don't know. But it feels, everything is telling me that he is not going to last in this show. And it's kind of interesting. They discuss Izu's brother, Wazu, the detective, the great detective made by, Grandpa Hedon. Excuse me. He was going around all these strange places, and he did this investigation in the background, I guess, which is a little dumb that it was just like a tell, not a show. But I guess that's what, Agatha Christie and other great detective novels throughout history did, right? It would always be somebody who wasn't in the book who came in last minute, and they were the real culprit behind it all. Anyway, um, the the idea that Wazoo, connected us to the fact that there were these 5 different Humagear that had been stolen and transformed, and to have the same face. They all originated the same face, and they were transformed to have a second face to hide them so they could be sold on the black market. And that's where Little Assassin came from. It's pretty interesting. I like that they were describing it, but almost going into his origin like that made it even more clear to me that this guy's a goner. Although there was a strange moment where he reached out to the one Assassin Chan who'd not been used, whose body had not been used, and it looked like he was going to attack the guy, but I think Isamu jumps in and stops them. And it was interesting that he was kind of going to family to destroy them, potentially, because they were brothers, right? That was the conceit behind the show that they were doing. And then we get these moments in the episode that are about Wazu and Izu, and he's trying to connect to her and say, "Oh, you're my little sister, and why don't you call me why don't you call me brother, or even better, big brother? That'll be so great. It'll be, so romantic and cheery." And like we'll be able to, like live better lives being brother and sister and embracing that fact and whatever. And uh, the sibling connection between them is something that Izu wants to reject. Now, Aruto, on the other hand, wants to. He feels like accepting what Wazoo has to say because he's an older generation Humagear who reminds him of his dad. And there's something about his smile, a genuineness or a warmth in his smile that reminds him of his dad and makes him want to trust him. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that you have these like familial connections, rejected between rejected from Wazoo to Izu, but then it's kind of accepted by Aruto, again because Wazoo reminds him of his dad. And then you have Assassin going to one of his brothers, number 5. He's like, "Hey, number 5, it's me, number 4," and it really looks like he's going to kill him, and I don't understand. Like, there's an interesting family dynamic going on here, which is why I blathered so much about it in the little intro. And excuse me, I don't quite understand what is being said, but I do get the feeling that something is being set up with his death. I don't know. And this feels like a strange thing to jump to, but my mind went there, so I'll say it. Is his death at the hands of Shining Hopper possibly going to lead to Jin and Hirobi joining up with the others? That doesn't really make sense, because like if Shining Hopper is able to defeat Dodo, which I think he will be able to, no problem. By the way, Dodo looks amazing. This iteration, the skull face, the bird head over, just he looks amazing. I really love the design work going on with him, and I've seen rumors online that he might get a rider form too. I don't think the guy needs a rider form. This is like beyond a rider form. It's great. Anyway, I'm just thinking, is it possible that let's say Aruto defeats this guy. What's going to happen next? He defeats him. They get the data from his, Dodo Zetsumu key, his Extinction Rise key, and it turns out, because Hidden Intelligence is pretty close to being proven innocent. Hidden Intelligence is proven completely innocent. What is Zaya going to do? If Zaya set up Jin and Hirobi, if he set up MetsugoJinrai.net in a long con, maybe he was involved with Daybreak Down, and if he wasn't, let's say he just glommed onto them and has been manipulating them recently to take down Hidden Intelligence. If his plan fails to take down Hidden Intelligence because they get this last bit of data that they need to prove their innocence, what's he going to do? Is he going to step out of the shadows? Is he going to put on a driver? Is he going to become some force to try to destroy them? And then will Metsubo Jinrai and Hidden and Ames work as a group against him? And maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe that'll be in the end game. Again, looking back to X-Aid, there was a common foe that wasn't really fought against until the last quarter of the show or so, and that sort of thing could happen here. I wouldn't mind if it's a slow burn to getting to see Zaya do that. If Amatsu waits a long time, Amatsu guy waits a long time, which you would think he should as a businessman, even a crony capitalist, he would have to hide his illegal activities of trying to sabotage the company, and then maybe even outright attack and destroy certain elements, maybe Aruto, maybe just like parts of the company, in order to, he wants to take it over and incorporate it into his own company. So destroying the company literally wouldn't make any sense, even if he had the power to do it as a very powerful Kamen Rider or whatever. But anyway, kind of getting back to my growth thing, I still feel weird about how little Aruto has had to struggle to grow. He was on the run from the police. It created an opportunity for him to have little conversations with Isamu and with Yaiba about kind of like his growth and their growth, or not his growth, but like who they really are as people and who he really is as a person, because he wants to be seen as somebody who they can believe in. And he kind of challenges Yaiba to be honorable, and he's like, hey man, like I asked you this question, you hesitated, I got away from you, bonus point to me, but I also see that your hesitation means that you're doing something wrong, and like, you're better than this, kind of. And that's great that he's such a nice guy and a strong person, and he has like such solid morals. But I still have this nagging issue that he isn't the one like building his upgrades at all, or I don't know, maybe even earning them. And it seems strange. Like, if he's just going to be all powerful, I guess that's okay. But I don't understand why he's not being challenged more. And I'd like to see him stumble and fall a little bit more, and maybe be morally challenged more. And I don't feel like that's been happening in the setup for this, Shining Hopper thing. So that's a little disappointing. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. I'm running out of time. MJ Loves Toku can be found on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Check out mjmunoz.com for my other review series, another Ridercast, King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows, Going Ultra, and Swing Through Comics, as well as my writing projects. Love what I do? Want to support me? My Coffee and Redbubble accounts have you covered. Relevant links below. If you had a good time, like, share, and leave a comment. Do you share my issue with Aruto not really gaining things and growing as a character to get his upgrades? I'd be curious to know what other people are thinking. Anyway, you can subscribe and ring that bell to stay current on weekly Zero-One reviews. And remember, you don't have to shout henshin to be a hero.